All right, you guys. Hello. Welcome back. If you are a member already of our community, and if you're new, welcome to our Creative Checkup. My name is Alan C. Paul, the host and founder of God and Gigs. I'm an author, musician, and podcaster, and this is where we help you in our Creative Checkup to solve one specific issue or problem in your creative life. We want to address something each week that will make a actionable change in your creative life as a musician, author, entrepreneur, anyone in the intersection in the arts, entertainment, and possibly ministry. And we do all that so that you can become the creative that God created you to be. And I am literally coming on a little bit. Well, I have no hair, but if I had hair, it would be on fire. I just jumped in from a morning reception, played out in my local area. It's a beautiful little area called Miramar. So I just jumped over there. We did a trio with lots of fun with some of my best friends, Janiyah Harden, who's been on the podcast, I should say, before. Sorry, I got stuff going on right here, and I gotta close the door. But as I was just saying, it was a wonderful morning, but it was kind of like an example of what our creative lives are like, right? So I'm jumping in from doing my gigs, have to jump right back into, of course, doing this live. We didn't want to lose it, so we moved it from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock so we could still do it. And then after this, I'm headed out to another performance that will be with a R&B Motown type group. So look, this is the real life of a creative. This is us. We switch hats. We go back and forth between things. You never know what's coming up, so you just got to roll with it. So if you're watching, even on replay, because the time was changed and you weren't able to join us at 1 p.m. because we weren't there, thank you for being flexible. Thank you for allowing me to kind of adjust. And that's exactly kind of the theme of today is planning for success. How do you plan? How do you figure out this creative life? Being able to manage things, being able to plan for things, being able to be flexible and figure out what will work for your creative life. And there's several different things we're going to talk about in today's Creative Checkup. So once again, if you're new, thank you for joining us. And I like to jump right in. But if you're watching live, you can always comment. And if you comment, I can bring your comments up onto the screen. This is the way StreamYard is. That's what we use here. It's really cool. So you can see I can just pop comments up like that. So if you're commenting during the live stream, please go ahead. If you can share a note or share with somebody else who's watching, go ahead and share it with them because they might want to be part of this conversation. This is 100% interactive. It's not a monologue. It's always designed to be a dialogue, even though you can only hear my voice. I also want to make sure you can hear my voice. So if you are watching, I always love to hear those comments or see those comments because it makes sure that we're working as far as our technical stuff. I always worry that something's not working, something's not speaking or not making sound. Although I'm checking my settings right now, it looks like everything is good. So that's another reason why I love to have the interaction, because it can confirm that everything's working fine. You can see, you can hear me clearly. And of course, it helps the algorithm, the YouTube, the Facebook, the LinkedIn. We go live on all those things. And every time you comment or share or post your thoughts or chat, it tells people in this particular platform that you're watching on that we are honestly making an impact, that people do want to watch this. So your comments or suggestions, even after the fact, even on the replay, if there's something that you have a question about, I'm going to circle back. I'm going to go and watch and listen and look for those comments and read them so that I can respond to them on either a future creative checkup, a future podcast, or directly through email or however. So please don't be afraid to interact with us. This is a community. Our whole theme for March is community, our part of our best creative year ever. So our theme is community all week long and all month long. So I would love for you to share in the comments. But I like to jump right into what we're actually talking about today. So today we're going to do some coming events, let you know what's coming up in our 360 membership, as well as some other resources we have available for you. Then we're going to jump into our vital signs. Vital signs is always where we talk about things that kind of touch the heart of the creative, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And so vital signs today, we're going to talk about learning from failure. Oof, hard to face that. Even as I say it, I cringe a little because I've had to deal with a little bit of that failure, and I'll share what that is. Also, we're going to go into our lab work, and that is where we talk about the individual things that are working well for us in specific areas of creativity and business and everything else we're doing. And this is where I get to talk about business plans, something most creators don't like to talk about, but it's working for me, and I'll show you why. And the tool that we're using, Skip, which is really become like a right-hand man when it comes to my business planning as a creative, thinking as a creative, getting funding and money. That's a huge part of obviously business and being able to actually do this for a living. So that's something we'll share in the lab work. Then we're going to get into our consult, and another thing that gets really hard. You don't like to talk about it, but we're going to talk about the possibility that you're setting your prices too low. Is your price too low? If you're not charging yet, maybe you're not charging, and that's the lowest it could possibly be, right? Free is the lowest possible. So maybe you're not charging, you're still nervous about charging, and this is affecting your creative life, your ability to do what God called you to do. So we're going to jump into that as well. And finally, our prescriptions is what we suggest you do next. All right, so here's the calendar for the upcoming month. Because you can see we are not at 1 p.m., but we are doing our creative checkup live. You can see that we have a podcast coming out every Monday. And the exciting thing that is on here is our community workshop with Misty Phillip. Now, Misty is an amazing entrepreneur, author, woman of God, and community builder. This is why I wanted her to talk to us this month, because our emphasis is on community. And because it's on community, I said, who better than someone who has built an incredible community that had a huge impact on my podcasting life, I should say. And so I want to have her in the God and Gigs 360 community and talking to our overall community. So she'll be coming at 8 p.m. on the 24th. That's a Monday. Now, you can attend for a short, very small registration fee. But if you're in God and Gigs 360, which is our exclusive app and community, you get in for free. That includes those who are in the gold program. That's our mastermind level. And our guests that are in the resources. And there's a resource that you can buy for $10 a month, and it gets you access to any workshop that we do live. So it's kind of like a hybrid. The masterclass mastermind gets all the live coaching throughout the year, and the resources just get the one workshop we do a month. So you still get access no matter what, as long as you are a member of one of those two things, resources page or our mastermind. So I would love to see you there. I will send out that link very soon. I know I need to get that out to you because it's actually only 10 days away. Geez, that's coming out quick. All right, so we're going to get that to you as fast as I can. All right, so I am super excited about this. I literally just sent this in this morning. This, my friends, is going to be our next devotional on YouVersion. Now, it's not approved yet. You can't find it yet. You can find the Creator's Craft if you simply look for Creator's Craft or God and Gigs in the YouVersion app. If you're not familiar with the YouVersion app, it's actually Bible.com, the most used Bible app in the world, as far as I'm concerned, as I've seen nothing else that's used more than YouVersion. And we are going to be sharing a new devotional, which again, pray for us, okay? This is not out yet. We are submitting it. We are praying for it to be accepted. And once it's accepted, you will be told where to go find it. It's a 5-day devotional. The last one we did was only 3 days. So this is a 5-day devotional. And like I said, I just pray. I've really had just an incredible time writing this. I've really kind of gotten deeper into my study of Genesis and how we can apply the lessons from Genesis and God's creative purpose and his plan to our own creative lives. And that's what you're going to get out of this. But I would just solicit your prayers, please, that we would have favor, that they would accept it, that they would go ahead and put it up. And once it's up, we will let you know where to go find it so you can share it with your friends and read it the whole 5 days. And again, I'm super, super excited because it really does represent something that this community has helped me to understand and to figure out so I could write this out. Special shout out goes to Marlita Hill, who gave me the connection to our editor, Brianna, who was amazing and still helping us to get more and more consistent with sharing these devotionals. So hopefully this will not be the last announcement that you're going to hear about new devotionals coming out. We're going to stay on our task, just like I said, as a creative musician, as a podcaster, and as a writer. I have to stay committed and stay consistent and diligent with what is in front of me, which in this case is putting out these devotionals at least once a month is the goal. Maybe twice a month. It depends on how quickly we can turn them around and get the editing done. But I am super excited about this. It was like a dream, just a dream to hit that button and finally get a second devotional ready for submission and see if it is ready to go. All right. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to attend any of the workshops, including the one coming up with Misty Phillips, or you want to watch the replay of the woman Marlita Hill, who I just mentioned. My friend Marlita did one back in February, and now we're going to have our March workshop. If you want to get to any of those, go to godandgigs.com/resources. And again, as of my current recording, prices may change, but right now it's $10 a month, simple to get access, and then that will give you access to any live workshop we do, okay, as well as the recordings of all of them. So anything you missed, you can get into that, and you can find all the resources on how to build your credit, how to work on your taxes and your finances, how to find a church that supports creators. Like we've done so many workshops, how to build your creative success in 3 months or less with Jermaine Morgan. I mean, everything we've done, I'm telling you, is a huge, huge, huge blessing and will benefit your creative life. If you have a question, you can probably find it in resources. Our recommended recent episodes. I am so excited about these 3, especially, not all 3 of them are perfect for this month because some of you know we're celebrating Women's History Month. And so I always try to make sure, without us having to put a big spin on it, we're always celebrating our ladies in the God and Gigs creative community. But I love to highlight them just so that you see that this is the norm for us, that we don't need a month to celebrate our great creative ladies. And we have 3 of them here. Melissa Vargas is 321. She was super vulnerable and sharing about the loss of her father and managing a trans, national change, a international change of venue where she moved from the U.S., moved to Colombia, and how that's working out for her. And she's sharing her faith and how she's navigating that. So you can learn how to navigate your faith when you run into big issues, big changes, big obstacles and hurts and heartbreaks like she's faced. Then we have on the 323, that was a talk about filmmaking from our amazing friend Tuesday Lewis Harris. She shared about getting into the film business, even if you're not an actor. She shared some major tips that's going to help you. And finally, Katie Jones, this was all about budgeting and how to become a more savvy financial I wouldn't say expert, becoming more savvy with stewarding your finances in episode 325. So that's what has been going on in the podcast. I think we just released 326, which was on community, kind of like a reprise of our last creative checkup. So you'll usually hear a piece of a creative checkup, or you're going to hear a brand new interview each week. Oh, and I mentioned this, I almost forgot. We have some quick wins and tools for creatives, things that you can get outside of our membership. If you ever think, oh, I wish I could plan my income. Well, there's going to be a template for that at godandgigs.com/shop, as well as some other cool things. You can get a DIY challenge on how to be more consistent as a creative, 5-day planner, simple, easy to follow, but gives you a template to getting more consistent. We did that as a challenge, and I'm offering it as a standalone product. So many resources are there for you. godandgigs.com/shop. The whole idea is, even if you're not in the membership, you can still find these kind of tools. All right, here we are. We are at Vital Signs. So if you have joined us since we started live, please let me know. Hey, I'm watching. Hey, I got your email, because I sent the email out a little late because, of course, like I said, we have all these things going on and I had to readjust our times. So if you are watching, I would love to see your comments. I can pop them up on the screen and we can talk about the value of failure as well as some other things, okay? So I'm super excited about this. I'm not excited to talk about failure, I should say, but it is exciting to talk about how we're learning from failure. And so what I want to share first is kind of like defining failure is already going to be super important, because some people might say, okay, well, failure automatically means that something that was supposed to happen didn't happen. But then there are some things that we deem failures that were never guaranteed to happen. Let's say winning a race, winning an award. It's not guaranteed. So if you don't win, is that a failure? So defining failure is super important first. But then the second half is learning the value of failure. And the reason why this came to mind is, some of you know, we send out a creative checkup newsletter every Wednesday. So just like this live, where I had to go live a little later, but we didn't want to lose it. I try to make sure that I am walking the talk and I'm consistent. Whether there's 5 people here, 10 people, 20, 1,000, or 0, I'm still going to follow through and be consistent with showing up for you. The same thing can be said about our newsletter, which goes out every Wednesday. After a while, I think it used to go out on Tuesdays, then we changed it to Wednesdays. However, last Wednesday, I'm trying to remember what was going on, but it was super busy. I was super tired, and I think I just hit the wall and I said, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to send a newsletter today. But when I tell you the amount of guilt I felt, because I had basically kind of written it off, and a long time streak of making sure I never missed a Wednesday went by. And I started to wonder, did anybody notice? So the failure first was my failure to send the newsletter. But then I started to feel like, wait, what if the failure is even worse? What if they didn't notice? What if I've been failing at connecting with the readers? Now, if you're getting the Creative Checkup newsletter and you love it, please let me know, because this helps me so much to be able to get it better and to improve it. So I would love to hear what you think of the newsletter. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Wilfredo. Great to see you, man. I'm so glad you were able to join us today. Hope you continue to feel amazing and recover. And I love to see Wilfredo popping in. So, Wilfredo, we're talking about failure and whether or not we can learn from it. And so first I want to define failure. It's not just the things that don't happen that should have happened or did happen and what's supposed to happen, right? But also the things that we think should have happened and they don't. So we kind of call those things failures as well. But I don't know if that really qualifies as a failure if it wasn't guaranteed to happen. I think we set our sights on things and then we get frustrated and we call them failures if they don't happen. But I would kind of already push back against that, because I don't think failure is just what's in our heads, although it's the way we perceive it. Failure is a much more concrete thing when it comes to things that should happen and didn't, or shouldn't happen and did. Okay? So, the value of failure then first means recognizing it. But then after you recognize failure, the question is, how do we learn from it? How can we grow and get better because of failure? This is the kind of interesting thought process you got to put yourself through. And I'm reading currently a book called Fail Fast, Fail Often. I don't have the authors in front of me, but maybe I could look it up on Amazon while I talk about it, so I can give you guys a link. Here's the look. How losing can help you win. That's the concept of this book, which again is a crazy sounding thing until you realize, yeah, there is a way that losing can help you win. But what is that? I think the key part, and here's a link. I just found one. Went ahead and let me just go ahead and share that. If you guys want to check that out, it'll be able to pop up. I don't know if it'll be clickable. But yeah, that's kind of like a long link. I don't have it recommended yet, so I'll have to figure out another way to share it. But you might be able to copy and paste that one if you want to go check out Fail Fast, Fail Often. So the first thing I noticed, and I see you, Wilfredo, I love that comment, is I think now that we look at it in terms of, well, failure is going to happen. We're going to fail in our I shouldn't say fail in our marriages, but we're going to make mistakes in our marriages and our families. We're going to fail at certain things. And it's going to be a bummer. It's going to be just a horrible thing to have to deal with, because I know my heart sank when I didn't send that email newsletter. And I realized I broke a streak that I had done for years, and then I hadn't really explained why it was missing. And then I was worried that people wouldn't even notice it missing. So that was even more of a deep cut. And all of these things just start to spiral. But the first thing about the value of failure is what it does to help us point back toward what we're really supposed to be doing. So many times I think failure points at something that we don't think is important, and turns out is not as important. I think a lot of times we fail at certain things, and then we say, wait, why am I upset? Should I be more lenient toward myself and then toward others, so that I don't get into this place of feeling like every time something goes wrong, I fall apart? Okay? So that's the first thing, is redefining what that failure is. And then the thing in the book that I really love is saying that fail fast, fail often means if you can put yourself in a position where you fail, not necessarily on purpose, but where you have the great capacity of not necessarily making it, experimenting, trying things, that creatives, this is really where we live, right? Creatives, I liked what Seth Godin said. He called it dancing on the edge of failure. So if you're dancing on the edge and you know at any point you might fall into failure, it's very much a risk, but it's also a huge reward if things work out. So being willing to risk failure, being willing to take small bets, is another value of failure that you may not think about. The value of failure is to idealize, I guess I can't say, to get an idea of what failures or what successes are you safe, or what, not safe, that's not the wrong word, are you comfortable with making at this point? And this is what I mean. And if this is making sense, Wilfredo or anybody else, go ahead and put it in the chat if this is making sense. And also in the replay, let me know. If you are making huge bets, if you are trying big things and hitting failures, it is a huge drop off in terms of, well, what do I do now? I got to change everything. But if you make a small change and endure a small failure, you haven't lost that much ground. It's kind of like the perfectionist thing. Like so many of us try to be perfectionists and we don't want to release things, whether it be music, art, poetry, dance, whatever. We don't want to release it until it's perfect. And what happens? We keep trying to get to perfection. It's the wrong goal. I was running and I thought about this, and hopefully this will help somebody deal with failure. We are not trying to get to perfection. We're not even trying to get to the specific product or result. We're just trying to repeat, if I can talk correctly, repeat a process for a purpose. Let me say that again. You have to repeat a process for a purpose. Now, the product might be amazing. You might win a Super Bowl championship if it's football. You might win a Grammy if it's music. You might create whatever this thing is and it's like world acclaimed. But that is a byproduct of process hitting your purpose. So if you have a process and you have a purpose, the product will take care of itself. So the reason why this is so important with having the value of failure is because now you can make small bets and small mistakes and they don't draw you all the way back. You don't fall back so far. I love that Wilfredo says makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that. I would love to hear your comments as well in terms of whether you've ever had to reframe failure, whether it be creatively or any other way where you've had to kind of say, okay, wait, was this really a failure? Or was it a failure I can learn from? I mean, was there a failure in someone else's part that I'm trying not to like blame it on them, but I feel like blaming it on them? So I would love to know in the comments how failure has affected you as a creative. And especially, again, let's be blunt. Creators, we deal with failure more often because we are always trying to do things that may be ahead of their time, that may not get critical acclaim. And so that can feel like a failure. But again, who set up the rules? Like, I think what's hilarious is that we get mad when we don't achieve something, but we are the ones who set the particular goal. If we just change the goal, we can kind of move the goalpost a little bit. It's almost like we choose to be upset about these things. So I think that's all I want to say about that. But I appreciate that Wilfredo says it makes a lot of sense. I'm glad because I want to make sure I wasn't like loose in terms of what failure really means. Yes, we want to avoid failure, but we should also embrace failure when it comes because it is a wonderful teacher. It is a wonderful teacher. Okay, let's keep it moving. And let's talk about business plans. Now, as soon as I started, I was already hearing your in your head. I already thought you said it. I think I heard your voice. Oh man, like I'm an artist. Why do we have to talk about business plans? Well, again, I want to make this very clear. Lab work is what's working for me personally. Now, maybe you can go an entire creative career and never write a business plan. That's great, perhaps. But I'm here to show how business planning is helping my creative life, creativity, how it's helping me to think out these things. And if you've never written out a business plan because you're like, oh my gosh, that's for the accountants, that's for art, that's for entrepreneurs. If you've ever thought that way, I want you to hang with me for about 10 minutes because I'm going to explain how this particular tool is helping me think of my business more like a business, which is going to make it more creative, which is going to make me, just all the things are going to improve. Rising tide lifts all boats because of that. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead I wanted to give a share screen. And I want to show you why I am so happy about Skip being my new way. And I think I'm going to do a big old video on this eventually. I'm going to do an entire video on this. But for now, I'm going to show you just a little piece of it. And let's go to the business plan. Here we go. And I'll have to get rid of this and we'll do share screen. All right, so hopefully you guys can see now we are in the Skip dashboard. Now the Skip dashboard is where all of these grants, and by the way, if you didn't know what Skip was, Skip is a entrepreneurial product and community and website that helps business owners and entrepreneurs to get funding, to get business resources, to continue to thrive as creative entrepreneurs. And this, again, if you really look at it, this is what creators are already. I don't think we are, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not divorced. We're not outside of this world. A lot of people look at the entrepreneurship, like, oh, grants and business world, business plans. That's not us. And actually, yes, this is 100% us. You really should be paying attention. Oh, it's okay, Anita. I'm glad you were able to jump in. I totally understand the technical difficulties because I was having really just technical difficulties in getting this live stream going. So I'm glad you were able to jump in. You were just in our call where we talked about this. So I love that you're getting a second dose of this. I just wanted to share it a little more in our full forum of all of our creatives so that they can all kind of get a glance at this. But yeah, we're talking about business planning and why you need to have one. And so one of the reasons why you need to have a business plan is for things like this. If somebody wants to give you money, if somebody has a grant program, if somebody even has a loan, they're going to want to see that you have a plan for moving forward with your creative business, whether that means you're going to earn $100 or going to earn $10 million. You have to have a plan in place to show how that's going to work. Now, again, most of us creators, we don't like to do this. We like to sit back and think, oh my gosh, I just want to create. I want to create. Eventually, when the people love it, they will give me all the money and everything will go fine. That's really not how the world works, and it's really not how creativity works. Creativity oftentimes looks like work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to the business plan. I don't think, Anita, you got a chance to see this. I showed you some other parts, but I don't think I showed you the business plan. So let's see if it lets me in. Wait, business plan's not opening. That's important. Let's see. We'll wait a second more. Website opened. Why isn't a business plan opening? Oh, guys, you can see I'm stuck. If I have to go someplace else, I will. That's maddening. Why isn't we not getting a business plan? Because I have one. All right, I guess I'll have to click around a little more. See if I can get to my business plan. See business plan. All right. Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't know it was going to pop up like that. Share this tab instead. All right, hopefully you guys can see now what I have here. This was a document that was created by Skip. So when I say that you can see what your business can be doing, what your creative business could be organized around, Skip can help you do all this. And what Skip is helping me do is to really funnel down, really hone in on what I actually offer as a creative business. So as you can see, this was actually generated. This is actually generated by questions I answered in their grant. So every time I answer a grant, I have the opportunity to then save that answer into what's called the grants vault. So as I go, I'm able to then start to build up all these answers to questions that most business plans will ask for. And the cool thing is, as I go through it, it starts to build this plan for me through AI. Now, I know many people are a little nervous about AI, but trust me, if you use it effectively inside specific things like this, okay? Blame it on the eclipse. I love it. If you can use it inside certain apps like Skip, and you don't just use willy-nilly AI, you use AI specifically for specific reasons, it can help you build. Look at this. It helped me do my revenue goals, my operations plan. All of this was through Skip, not through ChatGPT. Risk analysis and so on. So what this does is really gives me that starting point for a business plan. And your business plan is just how are you going to organize your creative business? How are you going to make money? Who's going to be needed? Who's involved? All those things. So it may seem like what just happened there, but that was honestly done in about 10 minutes. And I'm still changing it and massaging it, but that is the value of a business plan for a creative. Let's say, for example, you are trying to produce an album. Now, how are you going to get the money for that album? Where are you going to, who's going to be in charge of getting the album? And again, this is just a single project, not even a whole business. But you can see how if you think through this and it gives you a description of the project, who's going to lead the project, who's going to lead your album, then the market analysis, what are the things that are possibly either going against or for you in terms of growing and getting people to listen to your song? And then, of course, the product or the insights, maybe it's just the song. Maybe it's an album. Maybe there's other things you sell. And you want to list them all there. Marketing and sales strategy is huge. Like I said, it's so important to think about the fact that just because you have an idea and you make something doesn't mean that people are going to either know about it or want to or will understand it enough to want to buy it. So many people give up creators especially at the beginning, because they're like, well, I made all this stuff and nobody bought it. Because you didn't keep asking what would you buy, because you didn't keep innovating, because you felt like you hit a dead end. But let me just tell you, not everything that looks like a dead end is a dead end. It just might be a not yet, as the pastor said so eloquently. This wait, was it? Yes. Where was it? Where I heard not yet? I heard it someplace. Well, now it might not be a no, it might just be a not yet. Okay, so marketing and sales strategy is super important. Operations planning. Okay, again, these are the things that you don't really think about in terms of creative life, but who manages your day-to-day operations? I do. What are my tools and systems that do that? As you can see, I'm kind of walking through this, but this is where the planning takes place. And again, you can do this. Let me jump back to Skip. You can do this inside Skip with the help of their app, okay? And with the help of the other resources that they have there. So if you want to check that out, and I do think I have this, you want to go to godandgeeks.com/skip, because once again, you may be eligible for financing that you don't necessarily know even exist, that people are giving away money. But the more you think through, what does my creative business offer? How do I deliver my product? And like we're about to see in a second, how do I price my products? Who can I partner with to help me with these products? These are the kind of things that, again, we don't usually put on paper. But here you have a tool that will help you put it on paper. And again, you can also get a one-on-one call with an expert if you want. So I haven't done that with Skip, but it's such a great resource and feature to have for you. All right, let's keep it moving. But I love what we were talking about so far. And I love here. What was that? Blaming on the eclipse. I think you're talking about the trying to have technical difficulties. Oh, sorry about that, Anita. Sorry about that. Hope you get it all fixed. Yes, Wilfredo says sometimes a little tweaking of products. Yes, we talked about that in my business forum. We're doing a business class at my church. And we talked about how innovation can be just a slight, we talked about like the Arm & Hammer thing, like Arm & Hammer baking soda. Baking soda might seem super boring. But if you just change from one particular picture to the picture of the guy with the Arm & Hammer, maybe they're selling tens and thousands of more boxes of baking soda just from one simple change. I also saw this in terms of Apple. You guys know the Apple, when you see Apple products and you open them up, and you know how like it's so like layered and everything's like perfectly white and lightened up and the little things are cables. That's not a coincidence. Steve Jobs spent years apparently working on the packaging for Apple products so that it would be an experience from the get-go, that everything you saw was kind of like interesting and drew you in to want to buy a brand new phone when you didn't really need one, right? So sometimes, like Wilfredo said, that little tweaking of products is what will come out. Again, it sounds so weird to say this as a creative, but it will come out of your thought processes. It will come out of your non-creative side. And then you'll be able to find new ways to do things that will absolutely revolutionize your creative business. And that's just, again, not thinking like a business person, thinking like a creative entrepreneur. That's why 360 is all about putting all the pieces together. Okay? So once again, if you want to check out Skip to get a business plan made for you, you want to go to godandgigs.com/skip. And then go ahead and check on the link where it says, do you want to build not a website? Do you want to build your business plan? And it'll ask you some simple questions, and pretty soon you'll have a business plan. And you can give this to banks. You can give this to, now obviously you're going to review it. You're going to make sure it's actually you. But just like I did, I reviewed it, and 90% of that is accurate. And the only 10% I want to change is just how we present, like my name and how we present the business name and things like that. But nothing serious. Like everything is 99% there on that business plan that I did using Skip. All right, let's move on to another thing that's near and dear to my heart when it comes to creative business. This is a struggle for many of us. And if it's a struggle for you, please let me know. Have you ever struggled with pricing? This could be even those of you who are a nonprofit, those of you who are like, I don't want to sell anything, it's the gospel. Well, be honest. Have you ever dealt with pricing in terms of not necessarily selling a product, but asking how much you were asking for in terms of giving. So many different ways we can take this. So many different ways. But let me get rid of that skip banner before I forget. I keep sipping water because my throat has been killing me. So hopefully I'm not too raspy. All right. So this goes back to our discussion with Katie Jones, episode 325. Okay. So during that episode, before we started recording, we were actually just talking face to face, of course, like face to face virtually. And I mentioned, what's your next plan? What's your next plan after this particular thing you're doing, which is financial investing, and not financial investing, but helping people with their finances. And she kind of said, well, actually this was on the recording too. Now I remember correctly. I think it was on the recording. You have to go back to the podcast and listen. Episode 325, godandgeeks.com/325. I should probably post that. But she said, I got this new idea, but I'm still working it out. It's not quite there yet. And she said the most frustrating thing is, as a regular coaching, which is coaching, helping with families with finance, she said, it's so strange that I give people the answers and they still don't do them. She said that I discount my prices so much that I'm wondering if I'm affecting my current clientele because people think I'm cheap or not that good. See, so all these things that you don't really think about that actually figure into your own pricing as a creative, especially, again, we're talking 90% to those of you who have their own businesses already and you are charging and you're freelancing, you followed our directions so far. But your prices are a part of your brand. And so if you are lowering your prices all the time, is what Katie was talking about. She felt, oh gosh, I can't think of the right word. She felt, the thought went away. I want to keep going because it'll have to come back. I remember now. She felt like she wasn't doing anyone any favor and she was demotivated. I think that's the way I'm trying to say it. She was not motivated to do the work that she already charged for because her own prices kind of made her feel like it wasn't worth it. I agree 100%, Anita. Pricing is tricky, 100%. So I wonder, since this is a consult, this is where I want you to share. Where have you landed in terms of your pricing? Do you tend to price? You don't have to give any real prices for any product or anything like that, or any donation amount you've asked for. But I would like to know, do you feel you fall above the average in terms of your prices or below the average in terms of your own area, like, what paintings cost? And why did you land at a certain area? Like, what was the method and the decision behind what you charged? Because I'll tell you what many people do. Again, many people just like, I don't want to think about this. I'm just going to put a price on it that's pretty low. So hopefully I'll get lots of people because it's super cheap and anyone can get it. But that doesn't seem to be the way that many people think. As a matter of fact, it might be detrimental. And here's why. We talked about this in episode 325. Maybe your prices are actually not just demotivating you. They're actually demotivating your client or your customer or your listener or whatever, because they are putting value in something. And if you don't value it and they got it for almost free, and of course, again, remember, we're talking about products and things like that. Nonprofits, you can think about like donations. If you have already made it where it feels like this is a low lift, easy lift, how motivated are people to either use your product, to like get into your course, or whatever? Like, they aren't motivated because the price didn't give any kind of skin in the game. And again, there's so many ways. I think I have my book over here. Let me see if I can grab it. Hold up, I'm gonna kind of slide. Watch you guys. You guys are gonna see if I can get all the way to the bookcase quickly. Yes, I can. All right. So this book, Free Money, we talked a little bit about it earlier. But this book about a guide to pricing your services so you can unlock a better lifestyle. I've read the whole thing. I have started to follow. It's why we added a godandgigs.com / we added a tool called Income Planner to the shop, godandgeeks.com/shop. So this is why I want you guys to start thinking like this, because God says, honestly, he says the laborer is worth his hire. All right. He said it in Paul. Paul was saying it about people who are in ministry, but it goes for everyone. Like, you are worthy of your hire if you do good work. And sometimes as Christians, we seem to just feel like we cannot share our prices or raise our prices because we feel like there's judgment, when actually, as we talked about with Katie, it might be that you're actually lowering the value so that people don't enjoy it as much. I want to read this. Anita says, I believe I'm a little bit below average. I literally Googled going rates for custom art in my area. LOL. I definitely don't do almost free anymore. That's good to know. Very good to know. Oh, she meant custom art. Got you. Yeah, custom art. So, number one, that was a very smart thing to simply look at the market and just say, okay, what is the market price this as? But I think it's more important, as the book talks about free money. It talks about being able to make sure that you're not just being arbitrary about the cost and the price. You're not just basing it on the market price. Austin Church in his book says you need to come up with your dream rate, how much you wish you were making per hour or per client or whatever. Then your survival rate, how much you have to make in order to make ends meet. And then this third rate, which is in the middle, which obviously kind of leans more toward the dream rate. But that's where you actually land most of the time. And the goal is to cover your basic expenses no matter what. That means in the business or whatever you want to talk about. So I think that this is where, you have to kind of just divorce yourself from, I hate using the word divorce. You have to block yourself from thinking about the market value of around you, because you might be offering something totally different. Especially if your artwork is different than everybody else's, if you're trying to achieve a new objective, if you have other towns that kind of like that style is appreciated, you got to make sure that it actually reflects that and not just, oh, well, no one will buy it here for this particular price. Does that make sense? So I would definitely recommend, if you want to find prices, you probably have to go past. Wait, let me say that one more time. I got to look out. Okay, my brain is like, he's flipping off. If you want to, okay, y'all, help me out. I might need to ask help. I'm gonna keep going because my brain like literally just shut off for half a second. Y'all probably saw like click went there, and I'm just gonna admit it. Like, I'm talking about failure. So, but if you're talking, okay, I think we were talking about the book, and number one, I think I should post this. I should post this one more time so you guys can look it up. And I think we should also, I think I've done a couple of podcasts on pricing. There's the Katie Jones episode, as well as, I think there's a couple more. I had to go to godandgeeks.com/podcast. But I think we're going to do another thing on this. I think we're going to have to do more on this particular topic. Because it's important that we don't let ourselves lose sight of what God wants for us in terms of our creative lives. But we are coming down to the end, so I want to make sure I leave a little more time for questions and answers. This is our prescriptions. As I was mentioning earlier, we have our Misty Phillips workshop coming up. All of these things that are coming up that are in 360, we are doing some fun stuff. We're doing a creative community challenge next week, where we're going to challenge everybody to jump in and bless each other in the membership every day for 5 days. So that's going to be really fun. And so all these reasons are just a couple of reasons, I should say, are reasons why I want you to join our 360 community. And it's really easy. All you got to do is go to godandgeeks.com/membership. Okay, godandgeeks.com/membership. That's where you go to go ahead and get connected with us, either through our mastermind level gold program. Okay. And it doesn't cost like that. It doesn't cost, again, this is one of the things where I'm like, I maybe should raise the price, but it doesn't cost as much as a 6-figure mastermind, but we have mastermind level conversations. And then there's also the $10 resources page, creative resources page, which you can jump into, and then you can get the $10, and it also gives you access to the app. If you buy a one-time product from God and Geeks 360, like a challenge, you also get access, but now you're a guest. You don't necessarily get to stay in our creative live forums, but we do obviously love to have you guys in there no matter what. So if you buy a product from God and Geeks that's inside the vault, we obviously put you into the not the membership. Yeah, we put you in the membership with just the threads, okay? Just the threads to talk. We don't actually get you into any of the videos yet if you are just a guest member. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? I think Anita was saying makes sense to something else. All right. So got about 10 minutes. Let me review a little bit before we head out because I probably should leave a little early. I just mentioned GodOfGigs.com/shop. Okay. Make sure that you go check that out because if you go to check that out, you're going to see some of the things I just talked about, the income planner. And I just remember, the income planner. What else is in there? Well, you know what? Let's just go and look. Silly. Every time I'm like, oh, what should we do? We should actually go look at it because we can share a screen instead of just talking about it. See, there we go. That's some stuff that I can actually share. All right, so let's go back to share screen. And let's go to the products. So these are the products available at the shop. Okay, so this is GodOfGigs.com/shop. These are things that are not available inside the membership. I mean, they kind of are. Like you already get, like if you're in the membership, you already get the 21-day devotional free. So it's a perfect example of something that's like, well, you kind of already get it in the membership, but if you don't want to be in the membership for some reason, you can still get the Your Art, God's Heart PDF Challenge edition. You can see right there is where you can give through God and Gigs at this same place. So I always want to make sure that's easy for people to donate if they want to simply donate but don't want to buy anything. We have our creative coaching, which is there one-to-one. Now, let me talk about this for a second. I have not done one-to-one coaching in a long time. I prefer the groups, but maybe some of you want to snap this up because I did put this as the lowest price possible for one-to-one creative coaching. And I think some of you might need this kind of deep dive because you're already there in a lot of ways, but you need to get a little more refined in how you tackle this stuff. So you might want to consider the one-to-one coaching. So let me know if you're thinking about that because I could definitely plan out some time because I haven't done a lot of one-to-one coaching recently, but I am absolutely game to help somebody. We also have Start Your Next Creative Idea, just $5 a template that helps you kind of map out your initial, what do you call that? Their beta test or your minimum viable product. That's what I was looking for. I'm working with the guys. I didn't have my coffee today. You guys can tell. I am definitely struggling. All right. Our Consistent Creative Challenge DIY edition. I mentioned that. The income planner. And then last of all, this program is not really available anymore. We're going to talk more about pod fading soon. But that's where all of our products are right now at GodOfGigs.com/shop. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. You know, you're talking about me with that. Wait, let me just read this out loud. Look, I am honestly, I have a story about this actually, Anita. When I first started doing webinars and things like that with God and Gigs, I should make myself a little bigger so you guys see. When I first started with God and Gigs and coaching and really just doing the membership, I got out of Flip Lifestyle with Shane Sams, another amazing mentor who helped me, make what we made and create what we created. So, he had us doing the webinars. We were doing webinars, and I was doing this. People were coming, but then at the end of the webinar, every time. This is like 3 years ago. I'm kicking myself now. This is like 5 years almost. People would say, "Oh, but do you do live coaching or one-on-one coaching?" And I would say, "No." Why did I do that? So much money I left on the table. And more important than the money, I didn't believe in myself. I did not believe I was either worth that time or that I wouldn't be able to help these people. And yet they needed help. And I didn't do it because I just was too insecure. So let that be a lesson to you. Never turn down money. Go figure it out. Figure out how to offer the service. They believe in you. You don't believe in yourself. So go offer the service. All right, let's see. I think we're at the end. Are we at the end? I've talked about this. Talked about stage. We brought this down. Okay. Well, my friends, I'm going to go ahead and jump off a little early. Normally we go right all the way to 2 o'clock, but as you can tell, I have a lot going on today. My brain has been in 500 different places. I definitely would love to see more of you in the membership. But if you don't join the membership, remember you can get that stuff at the shop. Our Facebook group is still active, always active. We want to create community aspects, but most of all, I think you should get yourself, everybody should get on the email list. Let's do that last. I don't want to forget the email list, because this way I can let you know the link for Misty's workshop. I will be probably emailing her today or tomorrow. I'll make sure to get her topic, and then we can send out the email for the sign up for her workshop. And once again, it will be available to everybody, but it will be specifically, obviously, the people who are in the registered who are in God and Gigs 360 who get free access. So this is where you go to join the Creative Checkup newsletter. And as you can see, there's a lot that we are doing all the time. I would love for you to be a part of it. GodandGigs.com/info. Simply sign up for subscribe, and you'll subscribe to the email list, as well as get more friends that we will recommend and get you some amazing content alongside everything else that we're doing. So that's what we're doing there. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today for this Creative Checkup. We got a lot done. We got a lot in. Thank you, Anita, who joined us. Thank you so much to Wilfredo, who dropped by, and then any of you that are watching on replay. Once again, don't be a stranger. Don't think because you're watching later because we didn't have the same time or you couldn't come live that your voice is not valuable. Your voice is valuable. We can use you. We can talk to you. We can share. We can respond in the comments. So even if you missed the live chat, go ahead in the comments, share something on whether you've had to deal with failure, share something on whether you've made a business plan as a creative, and share something on how do you price your services. Are you scared of pricing? Are you scared of people not liking your price? And do you like lower it, even though it's not necessarily it's not a slight to God. It's not a mean to people. When you raise your prices, you realize that you're giving them value. You need to charge that value. So let me know in the comments and sharing this with other people as we go along. But that is it for now. So until next time, continue to become the creative that you were created to be. God bless, and I'll see you next Creative Checkup next Friday.